Okay, once again, we want to welcome you to the 2024 State of the Community. Just a few of the rules. Each speaker will be given 2 minutes for each response. Each speaker will respond to every question that we have. If there's time for additional questions, we'll be taking questions from the audience. There are cards, as Carolyn indicated, on your tables that will be brought to us that we can then read your questions. We are very pleased and honored to present our prestigious panel. We have Dr. Jonathan Wickert, Senior Vice President and Provost at Iowa State University, Mayor John Hala from the City of Ames, Mayor of City of Ames, Supervisor Lisa Heddens, Story County, Dr. and President Robert Denson from the Des Moines Area Community College, Dr. Associate Superintendent Jeff Hawkins, Ames Community School District, and President Brian Dieter, President of Mary Greeley Medical Center here in Ames. Okay, so for our first question, we invite you to kind of use this first question to present your introductory remarks and also answer what are the primary opportunities and visions you see for your organization at this present time. And we will start with Provost Wickert.
Great. Well, thank you, Linda, and good afternoon, everybody. It's great to join you today for this important conversation, and I'd like to start by really expressing my appreciation and President Winterstein's appreciation to the League of Women Voters and United Way of Story County, the Ames branch of the NCAACP, and KHOI for sponsoring this conversation. The question was really about opportunity and vision, and when you work at a university, it really is about opportunity every day. You know, the primary opportunity for Iowa State University is going to continue to be to prepare students from all of Iowa's 99 counties, every state, and over 100 countries for successful lives and successful careers. It's exciting that enrollment at the university is rising after having declined for a couple years around the pandemic. We passed 30,000 students again this year. We're doing a lot of new things. A new minor in artificial intelligence applications. It's not a minor for computer science students necessarily, but for all 30,000 students on campus. If you're majoring in journalism, you need to know about artificial intelligence today. If you're majoring in art, you need to know about artificial intelligence. You're majoring in marketing, you need to know about artificial intelligence. And cutting edge degrees like that, like fintech, game design, geez, I'm down to 30 seconds already. Well, that's the thing about opportunity at a university, but we're excited. We're excited by educating the next generation of students and preparing the workforce at Iowa State.
Thank you. Mayor Hala?
Well, thank you, and I'll just echo Dr. Wickert's comments. Thank you to the League of Women Voters, KHOI, NAACP, and United Way for sponsoring this. I think it's really important that our community hear from our leaders, and I always look forward to this, and I count everyone up here on the dais just as friends and partners, and we've done a lot of great things together. And I'm also honored just to represent the City of Ames and the Ames City Council. I serve with 6 great council members, and I share with people. We may not always agree, but the point is they all have the same heart, and that is they want to do what's best for the community. And we are certainly backed up by outstanding staff, not only in the administration standpoint, but even people that are doing lifeguarding and who are fixing your potholes. We have a great community. Part of the question was, what would be a vision? And I would say that right now, my particular vision, and I think the council shares this, is to continue making Ames a thriving, vibrant, sustainable, healthy, and safe community for every resident to enjoy living in and be a part of. And I'll just start with 3 quick opportunities that I see and council's focusing on. One is creating amenities for our community. We have some exciting projects coming down the pike. Just took bids on the Fitch Family Aquatic Center. One of the rare examples of it coming in under budget here recently, but we're excited about that. They got the Shanker Plaza, which we'll cut the ribbon on probably mid-year. West Ontario Street Park, we got some soccer pitches, agility courses. We have a lot of things that we're doing to try and really keep people enjoying the amenities. We're going to see some low to moderate income housing being built this year at the Baker Latimer development and sustainability. We're looking at a number of different projects, trying to reduce our carbon footprint. Everything from electric vehicles to looking at putting solar potentially on the new aquatic center, as well as some of the other buildings. So anyway, we got a lot of things going on, and look forward to the conversation today.
Thank you. Supervisor Heddens?
Thank you, and I also want to thank the sponsors, and I want to thank everyone who came out today. Just thinking of the weather, last week, what was the 35 below wind chill, and today we're 35 above, so appreciate Mother Nature being respectful to us. I am currently the chair of the Board of Supervisors, and I had the great opportunity to work with two great colleagues on the supervisor board, as well as our other elected officials, department heads, and staff to really support the services and the needs throughout Story County. And so I'm very grateful to have that opportunity. We have a number of different things that we are working on and want to continue to work on. And it really comes from our mission statement that we're looking at of opportunity and quality services that matter. So we want to make sure that we are providing opportunity for the citizens of Story County, whether that be economic growth that we're working on. Supervisor Merkin has taken the lead on working with some of the federal funds that have come down for broadband expansion throughout the county. Supervisor Faisal has kind of taken the lead to work on affordable housing throughout the county. I've taken the lead to really kind of work on transportation initiatives throughout the county so that people have that particular access, as well as working on water quality initiatives. So there's just, a lot that's going on. Probably the biggest part is going to be what all can we do with the upcoming years? I'm sure Mayor Hala will be talking about as well with the state's property tax reform and how that impacts the funding that counties and cities will have to meet the needs of residents that are asking for particular services.
Thank you. President Jensen.
Well, great. I also want to thank the league. This is an event I look forward to every year, and it's a great venue. And the food's good too. But it's great to see you all. I think our greatest opportunity is the community college. We serve about 34,000 credit students every year and 18,000 non-credit students with over 230 degrees, certificates, and diplomas. So we really do have pretty much anything anyone needs to get into a great job. Right now, the jobs are very, very good. They pay well. Companies have really stepped up to provide better benefits for the workforce. And we're working closer and closer with them. About 60 to 70% of all high school juniors and seniors are working part-time while they're going to high school. It's a great opportunity for us and for companies to develop their pipeline. So work-based learning is probably our biggest opportunity as we work with companies many which hire high school students. So we want to make sure that as they're working with those high school students, the students get a work-based learning experience out of it, picking up skills. We're pretty actively involved with the registered apprenticeship programs throughout the state, but we've also trademarked another Department of Labor program. We've trademarked it as Iowa Learns, providing all the same benefits of a registered apprenticeship, but without the reporting or the agreement with the Department of Labor. Much more flexible as we work with companies, because we want to make sure the companies have options, because we want to encourage them to give these young people jobs. They're going to work somewhere, and we'd love to see them get into a job related to what they may want to do long term. Enrollment's been very strong. Fall term, we were up 13% over the previous fall. We're now 5% bigger than we were in pre-pandemic in fall of 19. But again, a lot of our growth is driven by the fact that the jobs are there. And for a year or so of training with us, individuals can get into those jobs, and most of those jobs have tuition reimbursement, so it's a good pipeline.
Thank you. Associate Superintendent Hawkins.
Well, again, thank you to our sponsors, and thanks for an opportunity to be here today to speak to our community. Dr. Lawson and I very much appreciate the opportunity to share in this conversation and appreciate the partnerships with the people at the table and the people in the room to help make our school district great for our students. I want to start with the opportunity that presents ourselves and a thank you. There were panelists here who assisted us in the consultation process of developing a strategic plan. There's panelists here who actually participated in that strategic planning team, and I see lots of familiar faces in the audience that engaged in that process. We had hundreds of community members who spent thousands of hours really honing in on what exactly do we want our school district to be and what are the initiatives that are going to be important to get us there. So I really appreciate the involvement of our community, and that really represents, in my opinion, one of our biggest visions and opportunities is how do we become the district that we've envisioned through that strategic planning process. That planning process identified 6 objectives that we'll work towards over the next several years, and this year the board and district have identified 3 priorities that we're focused on within that plan. Those priorities are attendance, academic achievement, and a sense of belonging for our students and our staff. So we continually work on initiatives that help to grow those things to accomplish those objectives. I'm really excited that I can say, too, that our enrollment is up. Our enrollment this year was the highest it's been since I've been in the district, that I've seen for several years. And we will continue to work to expand programming and opportunities for our kids in order to put them in the best position to be able to serve our community and take advantage of the great opportunities that these partner panelists provide for our students. So, again, thank you to those of you who helped us develop that strategic plan.
Thank you. President Dieter?
Well, again, to make it unanimous that all the panelists will have thanked all the sponsors. want to make sure we get that. I also want to say to Dr. John Wickert, it's been a pleasure being on the dais with you several times now. And you might know this is John Wickert's final time representing the university as provost, and we were talking before we got started about his great opportunity to slide back into and impact, as he said, the students on a one-on-one basis. So what a great opportunity. We've enjoyed you very much, and we're glad that you're staying in the community. That said, our work at the hospital, I think our work really revolves around creating the absolute highest quality care that you can receive, and we don't judge that on our own. We engage external, high-challenging resources to evaluate us. So you might, if you pay attention to our social media postings, you might know that earlier this week we received official notification from the American Nurse Credential Center of our magnet redesignation. We are one of 4 hospitals in the state to have received magnet designation. And what that means is that we are a great place for nurses to work. We believe what that means for our community is we are a great place for nurses to be able to provide care to you. And as I explained to our nursing assembly that was gathered as we shared these results, nursing care is the single biggest differentiation as to whether a patient is going to be admitted to a hospital or not. So if you're going to be a hospital, and Mary Greeley is a hospital, if you're going to be a hospital, I think the key differentiating factor, nursing excellence, is something that we're extraordinarily proud of. I will now push my challenges into another answer because I've already seen that I'm at time.
Thank you. We're going to start with Mayor Hala on this question. What challenges is your organization experiencing, and how does your organization work to balance current and upcoming budgets?
John, don't start my timer yet. I just want to acknowledge, Jean, thank you. Jean, I want to just thank you for your leadership for United Way. Most of you probably know this is Jean is going to be retiring, but you have done a phenomenal job for our community. You've got a great replacement. Where's Ashley? She's somewhere. There she is. She's a great replacement, but just on behalf of the city of Ames, thank you for what you've done. I mean, Asset has grown and been a real asset, amazing, to the community, but we wish you well. And no one else can ask. I already asked her to serve on some committees, but she says, no, I'm taking a year up. Anyway, let's give her a round of applause. She's just done a great job.
Thank you. Please start the timer.
Hey, we're all friends and family here, so anyway, so the question was really about budget, so I'm going to just focus on 4 big issues. One's internal and 3 are external. We have tremendous staff at the City of Ames. We have about over 600 full-time employees, about 600 to 700 part-time employees, everything from lifeguards to people working at different venues. But they're entitled to being paid a fair wage, and so wages going up, you've got benefits, you've got insurance. We all have seen that all going up. So that's one of our challenges. We want to treat them well and budget for that appropriately. Externally, first thing is project costs. Except for some rare exceptions, which the Fitch Family Aquatic Center is one of them, projects consistently come in over budget. And so why is that important? Well, it means we got to sell more bonds, we need to basically reduce some of the size of the projects or delay some projects. So that's one of the things. Supervisor had just mentioned this. We have some tremendous external pressure from the state legislature. As some of you may be aware, they passed a property tax reform bill. I think all of us would agree property taxes are a hard check to write or to have come out of our monthly payment. But the point is it does pay for valuable services. But they have indicated that was the first of many property tax bills coming, which affects us externally. We have no choice in the matter. This year, our city budget for fiscal year 24-25 is limited to growing no more than 2.7%. We have wages are going up at least 3 to 3.5%, and as a service organization, wages make a big portion of our expenses. So it's going to be not only a challenge this year, but it's going to continue down the road as that lag continues to build. And the other thing is that they're considering stormwater and topsoil legislation. So why is that important? The City of Ames gets a lot of federal funds to take care of stormwater mitigation issues. For example, along South Duff, that was federally funded. If the state limits our ability to control stormwater, those funds may be jeopardized, which means that either we may not be able to do some projects or that those costs will be passed on to our taxpayers. So those are just a few of the issues, and someone says, we'll get over it, you got to deal with it. We're dealing with it, but it's going to be certainly a challenge. I'm sure that Lisa can share in that, and I know that Iowa State and also others up here at the dais face similar challenges.
Thank you. Supervisor Heddens?
Yeah, thank you. Good question, and I have a feeling if there's extra time, there's going to be folks with more questions on this particular topic. First of all, I do want to say that by state law, we have to have a balanced budget. So if people question, are you going to have a balanced budget at the end of your fiscal year, end of your budgeting? Yes, because we are required by state law to have a balanced budget, and if we didn't, we'd probably be front page of the news, and everybody would be questioning what's going on in Story County. We are going to have some challenges with as the mayor said externally, with what the legislature passed last year in regard to property taxes. The county, which is great, grew by about 8%, but we're only able to levy as if it were a 3% growth. So that is going to be hurtful. Our levy rate is reduced, and next year it will be reduced even further as we can continue to grow because we want our communities to grow. Well, what does that impact? It could impact public safety, roads. You want to make sure you've got quality roads, bridges, that you have enough staff to carry out the work missions that are needed, permitting. It's a huge array of things that could be impacted. So we are just going to be starting our budget work sessions next week on Monday. And we go very thoroughly through each of the departments, understanding what their funding requests are, why they need additional funds. I would concur with the mayor that when you're looking at infrastructure building funds, those have gone up quite a bit. So when your engineer comes out with a range of where they think funding will be for a new bridge or for restructuring a building, and it comes in several $100,000 more than you anticipate, you either put it off and let the structure deteriorate even further, which could make that more costly in the future, or you kind of bite the bullet and you take care of it at this particular time. And my time's up. That 2 minutes goes by way too fast.
Well, our biggest challenge at DMAC is to have enough students coming through the pipeline so they can get into the jobs that are currently available, or particularly for companies that are growing, that we can feed their pipeline. So always recruiting students, keeping our programs current. There's an advisory committee in charge of every program of the businesses that hire students out of those programs. Budget-wise, 26% of our budget comes from state legislature, 50% is student tuition, 8% is property tax, and the rest is contract and grants. As far as opportunity, 40% of Iowa high school graduates on the average are not going on to college after they graduate from high school, which seems like a very, very large number for the state of Iowa. But that's an opportunity. That's a group we're looking at very hard to help fill the pipeline. DMAC, we have the highest bond rating of any community college in Iowa, the lowest property tax levy by about 20 cents per thousand, and the lowest tuition and fees of any college or university. So budget-wise, I think we're in very good shape. Obviously, enrollment drives everything. When 50% of your budget comes from tuition, we're watching that very, very closely. But again, we've got great partners with all the businesses in our area. We've got great business support, and they're not bashful. They call the president when they need workers. And we're looking at every one of our programs, and all of the programs that are in high demand jobs are very expensive programs. Tool and die, CDL for truck drivers. I mean, we cover the gauntlet. So we're excited, got a lot of opportunity.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
very good. So I have a budget-based answer as well. Before I get into that, I do want to address one of the needs we see and the challenges that we see is meeting the growing mental health needs of our students. We're working towards that. We implemented a brain health room at Ames High School to empower students to seek help when needed. Promoting kind of a holistic approach to education that provides both academic and social, emotional, and mental health approaches to that. Our brain health room creates a space where high school students can feel comfortable and safe. They can pop into this room, check in on their emotional status, either have some time for themselves or get some processing with one of the adults that's trained in order to be there. The goal is to get them back into the classroom and into that academic and learning setting as quickly as possible. But it's a grant partnership that we've started with another agency, and it's working well. We're getting lots of traffic and getting help to kids, and yet there's still mental health needs that are ever growing. We've got good partnerships with different agencies within the city to help meet those needs, and yet it still is a challenge. Like other panelists, yes, we have budgetary concerns as well. Last year, 52% of our budget came from the general fund, was from local funds. Another 41% of that was from state funds, and the remaining 7% were for federal funds or grants and things like that. And so trying to attract and retain staff that are high quality, that are interested in continuing to return and help meet the needs of our kids in our community, helping to make sure that we have state-of-the-art facilities. Again, I heard President Denson say, we've got just about anything anybody could want. We want to be that place, but sometimes budgets force us to have to make choices about how we do the best we can with what we've got, with, again, growing and changing needs of our students.
Thank you.
Yeah, with regards to finance at Mary Greeley, we've been basically operating at about a break even over the last couple of years. We were used to margins of 3 or 4% on a regular basis for years leading up to really to the pandemic. And those dollars go into future capital expansions to help finance new equipment, new facilities, et cetera. So we're kind of in a different era and trying to allocate. I almost say our story sounds like the counties. You've got limited increases. We're a price taker. Medicare, Medicaid, Wellmark, they tell us how much they're going to pay us. It's not a negotiation. And we're a price taker. And we have had significant cost increases on our two big inputs, personnel, labor. Labor represents about 55% of our total operating expense, and then supplies are about 25%. So between those two, that makes up 80 cents out of every dollar that we spend, and those have not been at 2% and 3% increases over the last several years. They've been significant. So one of our big challenges then is obviously trying to right-size our staffing and make sure that we have the appropriate staffing when we need them, and that has been made a little bit more difficult recently by the fact that everybody in our industry has had challenges. Other hospitals have had challenges. You may have heard or read that there are hospitals that have actually closed units because they didn't have enough staff to be able to staff those units. That creates a problem for us. It could be a very small hospital that sends us folks, and they need to send us because they don't have the staff to cover, and so they send to us. It could also be a facility that we might send somebody to for more tertiary level services, and they say we can't accept today, so we get to hold. That also shows itself in long-term care facilities as well. And if we've got somebody who needs to be discharged, no longer needs hospital care, but they are required to move on, and I can't find a bed or a placement for them, those things have led to many. We think a lot of these challenges are amenable to increased leadership skill sets, and Tuesday we will have our 63rd quarterly Leadership Development Institute. We try and provide great training because we believe that if we can train our leaders continually on the new challenges, they'll be the best leader they can be, and that should create the best workforce we can have.
Thank you.
Dr. Rickert.
Well, funding, is always a challenge, really at any university, including at Iowa State University. Like my colleagues up here, we certainly see, very similar pressures from inflation to be able to provide competitive salaries to attract and retain talented faculty and staff, rising food prices in our dining operations, and inflationary costs on capital projects like the new veterinary diagnostic laboratory that's been constructed right there next to Highway 30. But I think we do a pretty good job of squeezing value out of every dollar that we have. Higher education around the country is often criticized for being very inefficient and very non-business-like. But at Iowa State University, President Winterstein really places a priority on efficiency and on value, providing a high-quality education at an affordable price for students. We're proud that our tuition remains the lowest in our peer group. Last year, we set a record, the fastest time to degree for an undergraduate student ever, the highest four-year graduation rate, ever at the university. So, we're pretty confident that we're gonna win on the quality of our educational programs and the value that we provide to students and their families. You may have heard about the demographic cliff. So we are fighting a headwind of declining population of college-going, 18 to 20-year-olds, not only in the upper Midwest, but really around the country. And for those 18-year-olds, who are, graduating from high school, a lower fraction of them is tending to go to higher college. And so that is a challenge for us. But we're doing so many exciting things to be able to reach out to those students and recruit them through partnerships with DMACC and other community colleges, new degree programs, and making sure that when a student arrives at Iowa State University that she's provided with the support services, academic advising, mental health support, physical health support, coaching, and a welcoming sense of community on our campus. And we think those things together are going to create a very bright opportunity for our students and help out with some of these budgetary challenges.
Okay, thank you. Our next question asks the panel to think about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and to please share your goals on DEI and the progress that you've made on those goals. And this question will first be directed to Supervisor Hedens.
Great, thank you. So we've done a lot in this area in the last couple of years. We actually have a DEI committee and recently added the B or belonging to it. So we've expanded that. We've added MLK and Juneteenth as recognized county holidays. 3 years in a row, we have sponsored the Symposium on Building Inclusive Communities, and 2 years sponsored the Juneteenth event. We're reviewing all our policies and handbooks to ensure that they have more inclusive language, and we're also reviewing job descriptions for that inclusive language, and also looking at various areas as to where we're posting job openings. We've changed single-stall restrooms to gender-neutral restrooms. We're going to be doing some extensive cultural competency training that ISU is going to be putting on in April, and our human resources who have been developing our training schedules are going to be including more in future trainings as well. In our strategic plan that we recently worked on, really worked to weave in DEIB initiatives. We're looking at creating a DEIB countywide advisory council. We know that some of these smaller communities may not look at it as broadly, and so that is something we're looking at. And then the thing that I've been working on is to have a disability advisory council. Now, this would be different from the advisory council, for example, that CICS, our mental health and disability regions have, but it actually would look at things within the county. So when we're looking at bathroom stalls or other accommodations throughout our buildings, or when you're looking at conservation and some of the areas that they want to expand recreation-wise, having this council provide some input as well, so that we're not looking at it just as an able-bodied person thinking what might work for a person with a disability, but actually having that representation.
Thank you. President Denson?
Well, DMAC recruits every student, and we're always looking for the best faculty and staff. Right now, 35% of our students are diverse. 14% of our faculty and staff are diverse. And those numbers will continue to go up every year. Our urban campus in downtown Des Moines is the first majority students of color college and university campus in the state, something we're very, very proud of. Our focus really is making sure that all students achieve at the same level. I mean, we have great data on grades, attendance, et cetera. So we're looking at every diverse category to see, who may not be succeeding as well as other groups, and what can we do to assist them. And I'm very pleased to say that there really is not a big range differential. We find historically that the biggest issue or biggest barrier our students face is poverty. I mean, if they don't have much money, if they're on full Pell, if they got housing issues, that is the biggest barrier to success. And working with a lot of the partners here, particularly United Way of Central Iowa and Des Moines and United Way here, we're able to provide a lot of the support to our students where they can continue to do well. The companies that we work with, they uniformly tell us that diverse teams are more productive, and they work very hard and work with us to make sure that they help us get the students in to get the skills to get the jobs. So it's as I say frequently, everyone in Central Iowa, we all know each other. We except for one, we like each other. But we believe in a lot of the same things. And if we can help an individual and a family move forward and help a company get a skill they need, that is a ripple that never stops. Thank you.
Associate Superintendent Hawkins.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident that I'm not the one, but we'll hope. All right. So I spoke earlier about the opportunity that our strategic plan presents to our district. That strategic plan outlines a mission grounded in equity. It outlines belief statements that have our definition of educational equity woven into it. It outlines priorities that talk about all students learning, and has statements in it about the belief in affirming who students are. So equity is the through line of our strategic plan. It's therefore then grounded into the priorities that I talked about earlier of attendance, academic achievement, and sense of belonging. Each of our buildings then then, from a structural standpoint, has a diversity, equity, and inclusion core team, a team of teachers and administrators that meet monthly in order to focus in on a self-selected one of those 3 priorities, to really dig into data, looking at that both by program group and demographic group to see what does our data tell us about our work around this particular priority that aligns, of course, to our building goals and our strategic plan. So there's some very intentional structures that dig us into the data that tell us how we're doing around our efforts in those areas, particularly how does that break out amongst those different groups. Similarly, we do see differences. Our differences often are also the most drastic differences in performance around those areas are also our students who come from a low socioeconomic status family. And so we continue those efforts. We also have lots of opportunities for our teachers to grow in their equity understanding through professional development opportunities, teacher quality opportunities. The instructional framework that we've chosen for our district was chosen because it weaves an equity lens into the way we talk about a common definition for what quality teaching and learning looks like. That's why we settled on that particular instructional framework, because of its revision to include an equity lens. Sorry, here, let me check my notes here. There was one other thing I wanted to mention. Sorry, I apologize for that. So whether it's through our instructional framework, our priorities, our strategic plan, our professional development efforts, or the way we review data, our lens continually asks us to look for where are the discrepancies in the experiences our students are having. We just did it at a work session on Monday night with our board when we looked at our sense of belonging data and our panorama data that we broke down. How does that break down demographically? So we're constantly striving for creating opportunities for all students to succeed and all students to feel good about their experiences in our school, and using structures and systems within our school district in order to tell us how that's going for our kids.
Thank you. Okay. President Dieter.
Yeah, so we are fortunate that we've had some guidance from the American Hospital Association. In fact, they put together a framework for diversity, equity, and inclusion about 2 years ago, and they provided an assessment for member hospitals to be able to take, and we have taken that our first time and received our preliminary feedback from that, and we'll be committed to doing that at least every other year to see what our progress looks like. We also formed an employee DEI committee. We had several folks who were willing to step up and sort of share their experiences, and we provided that in a learning module for our staff through our online learning portal. And I think the second piece for us, though, has really been, what does this mean for our patient care? And how is our care fully collaborative with what patients would want and would expect, and again, focused on the equity rather than equality. We just had at our board meeting Monday evening a presentation on what we call in the industry social determinants of health, those factors besides sort of your disease that lead to the pathway that disease will take you. We had a really powerful case study of a 34-year-old person in central Iowa. She did not ever turn out to be a patient at Mary Greeley, who was unsheltered. And to give you all, I know you're not medical necessarily in this room, but just to give you an idea of how sometimes we miss the clues. She came in, she needed emergency surgery. She was living in a homeless encampment, and she was discharged 2 days post-surgery with instructions on how to keep her wound clean using, warm water and et cetera. Well, to absolutely nobody's surprise, 2 weeks later, she was readmitted to that same hospital with a massive systemic infection. We don't have great solutions, but by God, if we're not paying attention, we're never going to begin to work on those solutions. So I could go on and on and on, but John's dutifully held up his sign.
Thank you.
I think if we're going to do this again, we need to make sure that these answers aren't limited to 2 minutes on the first questions. There's too much.
Duly noted. Okay, thank you. Provost Wickard?
Well, at Iowa State University, our goals around DE&I are really pretty simple. We aspire for every single student who's admitted to the university to be educationally successful. And we aspire for every single faculty and staff member to reach their professional success according to their ability. We don't have any quotas at Iowa State University. We don't do any of the stuff that you hear about in some of the Ivies with respect to their admissions system. We admit students at Iowa State University based on academic preparation, their grades, ACT scores, very egalitarian system. But I am very proud to say that this past fall we welcomed our most diverse class ever to Iowa State University. Over 5,000 multicultural students, over 2,700 international students have come to our campus. And we're particularly proud, we spoke a little earlier about economic diversity. 20% of the students at Iowa State University are the first ones in their family to go to college. I tell faculty that 1 out of 5 students sitting in your class is the very first one in their family to go to college. And think of the responsibility we have to provide them with a world-class education. I would say for faculty and staff, recruiting is really only half the equation. The other half of the equation is retaining talent here. And that's something for the entire community. We can certainly do things at the university, but faculty and staff need to feel welcomed in the community, in the state. And those two things really go hand in hand. And I would add in my final 30 seconds, I think a very important topic that I'd like to go a little overtime on if I can, have a little discretion from the timer. And that our commitment here really extends to the notion of on a university campus where we're filled with smart people and we're filled with a lot of different ideas, of teaching our students and our employees about the importance of the respectful and honest exchange of ideas. Today, there's too much reliance on these devices, particularly on students, on social media, on online technologies, and I think a lot of students need to be retaught how to disagree with one another. People disagree, it's part of the human condition. I think students have learned how to disagree on social media. They haven't learned how to disagree face-to-face, and they haven't learned how to resolve disputes face-to-face. And so I think at any point in my professional career, I think there's a greater commitment and need that all universities have to be able to provide education, which is what we do, around the First Amendment, around free expression, and around the honest exchange of ideas. And these topics, I think, are really foremost on the minds of the president and other senior leaders on campus, really on a daily basis. Thank you for the discretion on the time, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Mayor Hala?
Take it out of his time.
No. I would just echo, first of all, what Supervisor Hedden said. We're doing a lot of the same things. So instead of just rehashing that, and I wanted to build on what Dr. Wicker just talked about too in a second, but it's not just a matter of, we're fortunate to have over 100 different nationalities that call Ames home, which is really amazing. And we already have a diverse community. But you mentioned it, Lisa, and that was, it's also physical limitations is a real challenge as well, too, in terms of those that may be mobility impaired, vision impaired. And so I'm really thrilled that able to expand the boards and commissions representation and having people. We actually have a board member who is now retiring on public art who is visually impaired. And I think what a great opportunity, and this person was appointed because we want to increase the dimension of how you experience art when you don't have the ability to see something. So that's one way, and we're proud to welcome Cassandra Ames as our DEI coordinator within the last year to the city staff, and that was a promise that was made to the community in 2020. in result of looking at the policing and the report after the murder of George Floyd. But I'm going to close with this, and this is, I think I shared the same message last year, and that is, you are right and it's appropriate to hold all of us accountable and responsible for doing things. But honestly, unless all of us are really taking this seriously and seeking to embrace and build friendships with people who don't look like us, who don't come from the same community, we're not going to get anywhere. So it really needs to be, what are all of us doing, not just what we are doing. We have to lead the way, we have to model it, and I think that every institution up here represented is doing what they can. But even if we're doing things perfectly, we're still not going to really be a warm, welcoming community where people feel they really belong. And so I would just encourage all of us to reflect on what can we do to really build those relationships. And I think that we are doing a lot of that, but I couldn't agree with you more, is that we have got to stop hating each other and thinking that just because you don't agree with me, you're worthless and I don't want to even deal with you. As I mentioned before, our city council, great people, don't always agree, but they have an immense amount of respect for each other. And we work together, and I think it's probably true for all of us. But if we don't start now trying to change the course of action, we're in serious trouble as a country. And I'm thankful that our city council, and I think a lot of our community is not that way, but social media has been, I mean, it's just the stuff that's on there is just not right, it's inappropriate. And I think it's got to start with each individual. So anyway, I'm proud to represent the city of Ames. I'm proud to lead this community. I wouldn't want to be any place else in America besides Ames, Iowa. But we all have work to do, and it's us, not just us.
Thank you. I would like to politely remind everybody, if you do have a cell phone that's not turned off, if you would turn that off now. Thank you. Our next question, Dr. Denson, you're going to start with this. It's rather long, so bear with me. All of you have worked in collaboration on many different issues, public health, college credit, job training, etc. Can you share a present challenge or success working in collaboration with the Ames and Story County residents? In collaboration, how does your organization foster and encourage future community leaders?
Yeah, thank you. As far as DMAC's relationship with Ames and Story County, we have no real challenges and we have many real successes. The Hunziker Center on the east side of town is still the gold standard in community college K-12 partnerships statewide. And there are a lot of academies now, and nearly everyone is modeled after what we did in the Hunziker Center so many years ago. So that is probably one of the best successes. We're very engaged with the business community. Jeff James, who is one of our DMAC employers, works out of the Hunziker Center. He's now chairman of the Ames Chamber. Again, we see ourselves as a vital part of the business and industry of the community, as well as the education system. Iowa State is DMAC's #1 transfer partner. We have more students coming to us that want to go to Iowa State than any other college or university in the state. And when they come to DMAC, if they know they want to go to Iowa State, they're automatically admitted to Iowa State. They get an Iowa State advisor. They can even live in the Iowa State dorms. It's just an unbelievably positive relationship that helps our students feel better about their pathway. A lot of students come to us, like Jonathan mentioned, a number of our students are first generation. Their families have no real history with a college or university. Too many of their parents did not go to college, but right now, and they want their students to go forward, but they don't understand the pathway. So we've got to make it easier, and working with Iowa State and others, it really helps students feel more confident that they can actually achieve, and then providing them the support as we go along. So I think we continue to look for more opportunities. There's not an entity on this panel that DMAC doesn't have a deep partnership with, although Mary Greeley would like more nurses. But we're going to get there. But again, these are the challenges that keep us awake at night, but also create the excitement at the end of the day.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, when it comes to how does our organization foster and encourage future leaders, I feel like that's the heart of our work, right, is preparing all of our learners to maximize their personal and educational potential and go on and do whatever it is that they want to do. And we know that a lot of those students are going to go to the partner organizations on this panel, to DMAC and to Iowa State University, and further their work to be leaders that will return to our community here. And I get to run into folks all the time in different groups that I'm a part of that say, oh, I graduated from Ames High and I'm so proud to be a little Cyclone and I'm here in this community, and it's just a fantastic thing to see. As President Denson said really well, we have great partnerships, and we're so fortunate for our partnerships with the different panelists here, as well as some of the folks that are represented in the room as well, not just on the panel. So I'll mention a few. So I've had the opportunity to partner with several groups represented on this panel around the concept of school safety. And so whether it's been working with staff at Mary Greeley or whether it's been working with our Ames Police Department in order to think about how might we handle a large event reunification process, or working with the police in order to really revise our school safety procedures. We have a monthly training that some police officers and I do each month in a building in order to improve the safety training and awareness of our staff. Again, we partner with program. We've got students that go out to that Hunziker Center every single day in order to get career trained, but we also have some students that go out there regularly because that's a good fit for them to finish their high school experience, and so we value the opportunities and the programs that are presented there. I'll get you a couple of others. We're partnering with Julie Saxon from the Ames Police Department on who's their mental health advocate. Not only does she serve on our SIAC, our School Improvement Advisory Council, but she's going to be providing some training to our staff on how do you provide yourself some self-care after a traumatic event, right? So that's another partnership that we have with the Ames Police Department. We're working with Iowa State University in several ways in order to attract and retain staff. We love to have those Iowa State folks come in and gain some of their experience hours in our classrooms, student teach with us, so that gives us an opportunity to recruit them to be in our organization. We also have a great opportunity to partner with them on different programming. We're partnering with them right now on Salir Adelante, an EL program that encourages those families to be more engaged in the educational process of their children. And so there's just always great opportunities to lean on the expertise of Iowa State University in order to make our programming better. We launched earlier this year an anonymous reporting tool called P3 Campus. It allows anyone, community members, students, staff, whomever, in order to let us know of a concern. And we partner with Story County Sheriff and Ames Police Department on that effort. The reason we went to that is because it's now monitored 24/7. So we had an anonymous reporting tool earlier that would come to staff. But of course, staff go to bed at night, and sometimes they're not looking at their email on the weekend, right? So now we have a reporting tool that is monitored 24/7 with a partnership with Story County and Ames Police. I could go on and on about the great partnerships we have. I would take the opportunity to just say how much I really value the partnerships here at the table, as well as others in the room. I see other folks who serve on our SIAC committee or participate us with important processes, and we're very blessed in Ames Community School District to have a community that really cares about education and wants to be engaged. And I won't miss the opportunity to tell you, Gene, that I've appreciated your partnership over the years too. So thank you very much.
Thank you. President Dieter.
So, you come to this thing and you expect to present and share, but also you're going to learn. And so, Jeff, I'm interested in more about this not looking at email over weekend. Okay. So, with regards to collaborations, sometimes it depends on what's needed, but we definitely see our role and responsibility in the community as meeting people in addition to those who need us because of sickness, injury, or illness. And a prime example of that would be the collaboration between Mary Greeley and what is now known as 60 Forward or Heartland Senior Services. When we recognized that we both had Meals on Wheels services in our community, we primarily served, Mary Greeley served, prepared and delivered the meals in the city. Heartland was doing the meals in county, and we had these sort of concentric circles, and it took actually our quality improvement team sat down with some representatives from Heartland, and we now have both of us kind of doing what we do best. So the meals are all prepared at Mary Greeley, and they're delivered by volunteers, and a volunteer might actually deliver to an address in the city or in the county, and it's okay because the delivery routes are much more efficient. So we were able to do that. We were able to produce the meals for less dollars than what Heartland was able to produce themselves. So that has been a real nice support. In other instances, sometimes you say, if we're going to make the community better, we're going to provide additional amenities for the residents of the community. That helps us attract and retain staff. It's things like financial support for the Fitch Aquatic Center. We have literally myriad relationships with Iowa State University, including the utilization of their police and public safety officers to provide campus security for Mary Greeley. You might not recognize that when you pull up, if you see an ISU police or public safety car in front of the emergency department, they're there working more likely than bringing somebody to us. And they provide that service for us. We pay for it. It's contracted. Increased costs over the last several years. That's certainly one of them, but we think it does the right thing with regards to safety. Iowa State has a newer program, healthcare administration. We've been fortunate to be able to pair with some of their undergrad students, provide internships, learning experiences, guest lectures, et cetera. We also have student internships and practical experience in their RN to BSN nursing program. We have almost every day we have somebody from Des Moines Nursing Education, DMAC program in our building getting smarter, and we almost always have more than one Des Moines Culinary Arts grad preparing meals that are nutritious and tasty for our staff and for our patients. And I could go on, but I can't.
Yeah, I think Jeff put it really well, and that is that we're really blessed by the community we have here and by the partnerships that we have up here on the table, but really around the entire room and around the entire community. Not every city, not every county, is like this. We may disagree on some things, but we collaborate and partner together on many, many more. And you've heard about some of the examples. We collaborate with everybody up here, with the school district, with DMAC, other community colleges, the city, the county, Mary Greeley and McFarland. We help each other become better, and we are very blessed to be able to have that kind of environment. Just one thing I'd point to in the area of kind of new collaborations is the SciTown project that you know about, and that's a great partnership which is going to make the Ames community an even better place to live and work and to play, and that's a wonderful collaboration between the city and the university and the business community in the area. It's also going to provide a great revitalization to the Iowa State Center and be able to support the performing arts in a very sustainable way, for many years to come. To the part of the question about preparing future leaders, we like to think that's what we do at the university. And there's nothing more satisfying than seeing a student graduate and go on and then be able to serve back into the community. Our extension network is a way for our faculty and staff to get out in communities across the state. It's a way for students to be able to apply what they learn in the classroom to real-world problems in small towns across the state. And then we, of course, do have a direct leadership academy for high-performing early career faculty and staff called the Emerging Leaders Academy. It's a program I'm very proud of that provides leadership skills in a very structured way to some of our staff.
Thank you. Mayor?
Yeah, I would echo Dr. Denson's comment that challenges, no. I think successes, yes. And one of the ones that I think you're all aware of, our asset program, which invests in human service agencies. Our funders just met here recently. We're going to be investing this year almost $5 million. $5 million in over 20 agencies and over 30 different programs to meet the needs of our community. And that's not just the city, that's the county, it's United Way, and it's ISU student government pooling resources. And thanks to you shopping in Ames, remember that, shop in Ames, your 1 cent goes into a local option sales tax, and 40% can be used for community betterment and investment, and we use that to help fund the asset program from the city. And United Way does a great job raising funds as well too. Another thing that, from a standpoint, you may have heard about ARCH, which is Alternative Response to Community Health. That's was really kind of spearheaded and by the hospital, and the city is partnering with it. But instead of sending out a uniformed police officer or sending out lights and sirens to a site where maybe there's a welfare check or it's a call from the school district or something else, we have there's a paramedic and a social worker that goes out and responds and seeks to de-escalate. There's no guns. It's basically they're in polo shirts, and they do a great job. And they've had, I think, over 400 to 500 calls this past year, and have had some really positive impact. And then thank you to the county and to Mary Greeley. They have both invested in the Fitch Family Aquatic Center. And thanks to you who are out there who donated to it as well too. A great investment. And then Iowa State, I'll just end with this, and that is Cyclone Welcome Weekend. You've probably all heard about 801 Day. That's a bad moniker. But working together with Dr. Winterstein, your team, just rebranding that into more celebrating having students come back. Why is that important? It's because we had residents coming to city council meeting and complaining about the fact that property damage and other activities that I won't go into for after lunch, essentially. But the point being is that there's some really positive things done to try and create events and activities that the City of Ames supports. And I know there's a great collaboration between ISU Police Department and the City of Ames Police Department to allow students to celebrate in a safe way, and one that also protects and it's been very successful in terms of protecting property. Still got a ways to go, but it was certainly a great partnership.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't think any of us can do our jobs if we aren't collaborating. So it's really looking at the partners that we are working with. I mentioned earlier that one of our priority areas for the county was helping to expand broadband. Supervisor Merkin and her team really worked with local telcos to help identify what their funding needs were to help support applications for additional funding to expand broadband throughout the county. So it's not just the county funding something. You have to work with various partners on all sorts of initiatives. I know I've been a part or working with the county, with the clinic, Mary Greeley, on their healthy communities. The mayor and I have been on several committees talking about mental health, which is a huge issue that no one is immune to. It might not touch you yourself, but it may touch a family member or friend. And what else more can we do in that regards? So collaboration is always ongoing. I think one of the challenges that we have, and I mean no disrespect by any means, is we oftentimes have the same people at the table, and it's trying to get some new people to come forward, or some who want to partake as well. And that's probably been that little bit of a struggle of trying to get them engaged as well. We certainly try to help support that through various speaking engagements, getting them involved in boards or commissions. I can remember when I was first ever thinking of running for office, I had a mentor who said to me, get on a board that you know nothing about. And I knew a lot about mental health and disability, but I knew nothing about fire and fire trucks except for fire was hot, and got on our fire department board, the West Story Fire Department board at the time, which was Gilbert and Kelly, and spent a number of years on that board and spoke at 2 national conferences. So, that got me engaged to want to seek further office. And I think that's the things we need to do, is continue with that type of outreach. And people that may not be as comfortable, they do have expertise, they just don't always recognize what they have, and their input is of value.
No, I think I had 12 seconds left, so, and I skipped the leadership question, but I want to say we work very hard to help develop the skills of our current and emerging leaders. In another partnership, Iowa State has 2 programs for community college staff so they can pick up the skills to take positions in higher education. Larry Ebbers, right here, retired professor of Iowa State, he created both the programs. They're nationally recognized, and I can tell you now, we always do national searches for all of our key positions, but more likely we advertise nationally and recruit nationally, but we hire locally because we have the people that have picked up those skills, and we try to invest what we can in our current workforce. So, Larry, thank you.
Okay, we're going to shift to an audience question, and this is on a very important topic. How are you planning to work with immigrants and refugees, especially those with English difficulty? And we'll start with Associate Superintendent Hawkins.
Sure. Well, we have a variety of programs to help refugees and immigrant students, one, get enrolled into our school district and programs, and then in every building, we've got programming that is designed to help them get into the school, feel comfortable, and then begin that process of language acquisition and enculturation into the school and into our community. So we've got specific staff hired for that. I just mentioned a few moments ago some of the partnership programming that we have designed to try to help engage those families. We have a family engagement process that we use in every single building in order to engage all families, including the families from immigrants so there's a specific process that each building uses in order to invite families in order to get engaged in their child's educational process. And then, of course, as I mentioned, there's the work that's being done in each building in order to help them be successful academically and gain those skills and experiences to feel comfortable in our school setting.
Thank you. President Dieter?
Sure. So I think, again, our efforts would be divided into the 2 major personnel and patient categories. With regards to staff, we have seen an influx of folks. We've done several 3-year nursing contracts, and we have several people working in our laboratory. The lab techs tend to come from the Philippines. There's a great training program, and we've been fortunate enough to land 3 thus far. We just celebrated, by the way, we had a green card day in our lab, which was great. That our staff that planned that never had an immigration issue in their life, but they recognized what a monumental achievement that was for one of our lab techs. And then with regards to so what do you do? Well, it's creating the infrastructure. It's making sure that connections are made. It's making sure that our leadership in the areas are aware of the additional challenges that somebody who's come to the upper Midwest for the first time ever might face with regards to, I don't know, 35 below, right? There are countless challenges, but we've found that they can be modified, and we can have success in that regard. With regards to patients, one of our biggest challenges is then the cultural sensitivity to differences in patient care. And again, being in an international community, and I very much believe Ames is an international community, we were fortunate to have resources. We might have team members already that would be aware of the cultural challenges, the unique challenges, but also there are resources available with regards to language interpretation. I still don't think we have the perfect solution there, but we've gone from a phone to an iPad, so at least we have video and audio now, and we think that that's somewhat helpful because there's so much in the spoken word that is beyond the words, the gestures and the facial expressions, et cetera. And we're open for more guidance, more learning in those areas as well.
Thank you. Okay, Provost Wickard?
Yeah, well, Iowa State University, we're a global university. We have students from 104 countries on our campus right now. We recruit globally. We have 2 recruiters in India. Of our incoming freshman class, 4% of the international students were from Nepal. This is a place we never recruited from before. We have applicants from Uzbekistan. We were recruiting students. We're the only university recruiting students at the World's Fair in Dubai. So we believe that the education we provide creates a pathway for immigration and a pathway for people to come from all over the world to Iowa State and get a great education and perhaps stay here and be in the workforce and to build up our community and our state and our nation. It's an interesting thing to be in the middle of the country. And a lot of international students only think of the coasts, and we have to educate them a little bit on what a special place it is in Iowa and this great community. We have International Students and Scholars Office that provides assistance to this community, and we have many student organizations on campus that provide a more intimate form of community for these students so that a large campus like ours can actually feel like a small town to them. A staff member in my office hosts Malaysian students over to her house for dinner from time to time. And to the point about the cold weather, I would say that I remember at a graduation event a couple years ago, we had a student from Siberia. And he went up to the microphone and he spoke and he said that Ames is actually colder than Siberia. So,
Mayor Hala?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question because I'm trying to decipher if it's essentially, I mean, we are a diverse community, as Dr. Wickard said. We have 104 different nationalities on campus, and so we already have these different communities that are from different cultures. So I was just trying to go down to, okay, so what are the key issues? To me, one is a language barrier. And so I know that, and I'd have to check this out and make sure, but I know that we've been working towards having a website that would allow translation of basically what's on the website in different languages. But that certainly can be fraught with challenges. I know that from trying to speak one word of Japanese and finding one inflection is a wrong way of saying something, so you can insult somebody instead of saying something right. But so I think one is trying to be more communication. But the point is, maybe they don't have technology. Maybe they don't have a phone. Maybe they don't have a computer. And so we actually talked about this at goal setting session, is how can we improve our reaching out to those who are under-resourced and who may not have traditional means of communication that we take for granted. So we're even talking about posting notices and flyers in grocery stores. That was actually a suggestion from someone who's in the Latino community who says, how do I find out about this stuff? I'm always looking at the community billboard. Well, that's the old way of doing it. People may not read newspapers. Secondly is, what are the immediate physical needs? Do they need housing? Do they need coats? Do they need food? Whatever. And so I think that goes back to, we're looking to our partners in the human service agencies and supporting that and looking for programs that meet those who have a need for emergency shelter, who are don't have enough food or may need clothing, and also supporting the faith communities. There are faith communities here in town that are really committed to doing that, and so partnering with them. And then the other thing is that how do you make them feel welcome? And I'll just say 2.0, it's the same thing I mentioned about diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's going to take all of us to really be welcoming to those individuals and saying, how can I help you?
I think this is a great, is my mic on? Okay, just didn't sound like, I think it's a great question. I think this is something more that our DEIB committee will be looking at and working on. I really, the first interaction is probably going to be someone speaking to the director of our general assistance. Identifying if they would be eligible for any housing assistance or food assistance through there, and if not, get referred to the appropriate agency to help them. I think one of the challenges we do have some combined intake with like the homeless shelter, the Bridge Home with the county and some other agencies. We really need more kind of, I think, is more case management coordination for folks to really walk them through the process versus just getting shuffled from one entity to another. Language barrier is certainly a challenge, need to be not just culturally sensitive, but also culturally competent in your interactions. So there's certainly a lot of work that we need to do to make immigrants and refugees feel welcome.
And DMAC is often the first stop for many immigrants as they come into central Iowa. We've got extremely large numbers in our English as second language courses, credit and non-credit. We've got some great community organizations that pretty much embrace so many of the immigrants that come in. We participate in those organizations, we sponsor their activities, and we attend their activities. We've got an international advisor that helps with a lot of the federal and state regulations around the various status levels that they have. So again, it's to our benefit to help integrate them into the community and into the workforce, because again, we've got so many companies standing outside our doors looking for skilled talent. So, but again, English language skills are the key.
Okay, this is last question, and you have 30 seconds.
Yep.
No. They said to add humor. 2 minutes. I'm going to modify this just a tad, but how are you involving the 60-40 community and their expertise in the development of Ames? How are you trying to meet the needs of 60-40 individuals of the Ames community and 60 Forward, and the Ames community and area? So how are you going to interact with me? And I think we're on, President Dieter.
Well, I am 60 Forward.
You are 60 Forward. Happy birthday.
Yeah, so yeah. You know, I think for years and years we've had Primetime Alive as an affinity group at the hospital to try and provide education to folks who, with the goal of saying, how do you live a better life? How do you age better? How do you enjoy the years you have? What particular challenges might you face? And we've been fortunate to have long-term leadership. You might know Phyllis Krause started that program. Vicki Newell has run that program for a number of years. And we always supplement sort of the fun programs and the activity programs with something meaningful, whether it's nutrition, activity, health, injury prevention, et cetera. So we'll continue to do that. We think that's a great program. We had a lovely holiday gathering over at Ryman Gardens late December. That's kind of our thing. But then 60 Forward, as it has this promise of a community-wide marketing presence for all of the things. And Ames has, and Story County has, a plethora of services and opportunities for folks 60 and better. And so I'm excited about that. We're going to have a presence at the 60 Forward Center in Ames, but we'll be looking for all of our opportunities to get more eyeballs on the programs and services of Mary Grayley, as well as finding opportunities to collaborate with others in that space.
Well, I've just become 60 Forward also. So I've really had to think a little bit about this question. You know, I would say, you know, we're so connected to the community. There's so many ways to engage with Iowa State University. You know, whether it's through volunteering at Ryman Gardens, or through athletics or cultural events, our lecture series. You know, serving on advisory councils to academic departments and helping to advise student groups, or helping to advise our fraternities and sororities in some capacity. There's so many ways to engage with Iowa State, and our doors are always open, and look forward to it. Well, Ollie, yeah, sorry. Yeah, thank you.
So, first of all, the city owns the land where the new 60 Forward facility is at, and we entered into a super long-term lease because we believe in the program and the services it provides. Secondly, mentioned asset. Asset just is going to be approved. I mean, the council will be approving, contributing significant funds to help with the programs that are offered at 60 Forward. Our new aquatic center will have a wonderful therapy pool, and that will be utilized. And I think the last thing is consider serving on a board or commission. Right now, applications are open, and we have about 120 people, 130 people serve on boards and commissions. And you have a lot of insight, you have a lot of wisdom, and you can come alongside and mentor the next generation or generations by serving on the boards and commissions. And I really strive to try and have both a demographic as well as ethnic, sexual orientation, the whole 9 yards. I'm trying to get a really diverse group of people that serve, so it really pools individuals together and they develop really great friendships, and I think that's an opportunity for you helping our community become even stronger.
Well, I think by the time the 64 Ward building opens, I'll meet the criteria to attend. So Story County, we provided some American Rescue Fund dollars to the building development there. We've also talked with the director about their expertise in services and how they can outreach and support the areas in the county. Other areas such as Nevada has a senior center, Huxley, for example. Also looking at having them expand their board to also include people within the county, because 60 Forward is open to anyone to be able to utilize their service. So that's just a way that the county has been supportive or contributing, and I think it's an exciting venture, and look forward to when they open up.
Well, clearly Iowans are working and are staying engaged longer, and the state needs us and needs us to continue to work. I often say that I don't think we were put on this earth to have a good time, and most of us have been blessed with so many ways, and we need to continue to support others that are coming behind us. As far as the age group, this spring term, our students age 56 to 72 is up 59%. Over last spring. That only is from 93 to 156, but that's a significant increase as more and more individuals are wanting additional skills or opportunities. So I am age 76 right now. I've told my board that I'm gonna retire 5 years from every tomorrow. As I said, my grandmother worked at the Amana Woolen Mills till she was 80. It was a mandatory 75 retirement day, but they didn't enforce it with her. But again, as long as you're having a good time and the opportunities are there, that's the main thing. There are many opportunities for all of us to stay engaged in our communities.
Yeah, thank you. I would answer similarly. Ames Community School District desires to have lots and lots of ways, and I believe we do have lots of ways for people to engage in our district and be active members of our school community, whether that's going to events and engaging as an observer, right, or whether that's getting involved in volunteer efforts or different boards or different district committees that are available. There's lots of opportunities for our community, including our 60 and better community, to be engaged in the district.
All right, thank you all for that. We are towards our time of ending, so I'm going to give every panelist an opportunity for just parting comments, and we will just give you a minute at this point. And we'll start with Dr. Wickard.
I'll be brief. Thank you all very much. Been a great conversation, and I wish you all a great afternoon.
Wow, I get a minute and a half. No, just kidding. I hope you go away being encouraged and just seeing how well things are going in Ames and Story County. There's so much negativity at times, or we just see articles that are just putting things in a negative light, but as I mentioned in my opening comments, I count every individual up here as friends and partners. I know I can call them at a moment's notice if necessary. A lot of you in the audience, I can do the same thing as well. But I think we need to be basically taking a positive attitude and consider what you can do to help. That's really a part of it, whether it's related to DEIB, which I agree with, that sense of belonging, to serving on boards and commissions. But thank you for coming. Thank you for being interested in coming and listening, and look forward to it. And I agree with with Brian. Jonathan, it's been a pleasure being on the dais with you. Wish you, all the well. I hope that Dr. Winterstein rescinds your resignation and says, sorry, you can't do it. You've been a great partner to converse with.
I just want to thank you all for being here as well. It's so nice to see a room full of people that are engaged in the community and really want to know what is going on. So I appreciate you taking the time out today. And if you do have boards or commissions that you want to be a part of or know somebody that would like to, you heard a number of us talk about we always have openings or are looking for your ideas to help support, to make our communities even greater than what they currently are. Thank you.
If you have any ideas as to how DMAC can do a better job to help your community or individuals, just let us know. I mean, we're here to serve.
Just want to take the opportunity to again say thank you to our sponsors, our community for being here, and our panelists. We heard a little bit of conversation today about how sometimes life can be pretty difficult in these days. Sometimes there's disagreements, and sometimes those disagreements aren't handled always the best ways. I think this panel and this conversation is a really good opportunity to show what great things can happen for a community when you dedicate yourselves to working well together. So I appreciate the opportunity to be a part of that. So thanks for the conversation.
I have a thank you and two asks. One, thank you for being here and caring. Second, if you know of somebody who would make an outstanding healthcare provider in any way, shape, or form, make sure you talk up the great opportunities that are present in healthcare. It is an absolute privilege to be able to take care of people when they need it. And finally, Mary Greeley is open for volunteer opportunities as well. Thank you.
Thank you. This does conclude our 2024 State of the Community event. One more time, please join me in thanking our prestigious panel. And I also want us to thank our sponsors, the United Way of Story County, the NAACP, the Ames branch, KHOI Community Radio, and the League of Women Voters of Ames and Story County. How about a hand for our sponsors? And one more group to recognize, and that's our volunteers that made this event possible. A special thanks to Mr. Denny Goodrich and Mr. Jake Ewald, who have been our videographers and have been working diligently in the back. Let's give them a hand as well.